YouTube, and I don't know if anyone can come in there if they want to. I know my the member of parliament from Guyana, Mr. Gobin Harbajan, was trying to join. I apologize, sir, if you didn't get through. Um, we're gonna make sure that we can get you back, or if you can try to join in on TikTok. But live is activated back again on YouTube. But coming back to what I was saying, if you can forfeit your rights in a lawsuit if you do not comply with time, that happens all the time. It happens all the time. Um, Shondell Braffett, I wanted to ask you if you are hearing me. Just type it in on there if you're hearing me. Some people say it's like a zebra trying to change its spots. Well, I always tell people there's always somebody who's gonna hold you, or gonna be able to hold your, um, the zebra. When a lion comes to the zebra, and I'm not saying I'm a lion or anything like that. I'm just saying the system has lions that can come after you and question you, and that is not something that they must rule out. So everybody's got to, comply with the law, get the house in order, compensate these people, and make sure that they can comply with what is required of them. I'm trying to add Paul Dindial. Paul Dindial, if you're there, I'm trying to add you on Facebook. I don't know if you can come on. It's saying added, but yet it doesn't show you up. It's calling you, but it's not allowing you to enter. I don't. It's adding. It says adding, adding, adding. So apparently, anyway, let's continue. And if those lawsuits are not filed within 30 days, and it's only 3 weeks left, then it will bar you from being able to claim against the government. It will give you no options against the government. You'll have to take what we say in Guyana, the kush kush that you get. You'll have to take the coconut shell because you don't have nothing to bargain with. You don't have like an intent to sue. You're out of time. You're statutorily barred because you didn't file a notice of claim against the government. In New York City, the same thing applies. You have to file a notice of claim, a notice of intent to sue within 60 days. Sorry, 45 days. Within 45 days, you have to file that to the government. If you don't file that, then you will have a problem. And that problem is that you will be statute barred from bringing that lawsuit. And you'll be left without a remedy. And you'll have to accept, if anything comes your way, in terms of a handout. You no longer have legal rights. You no longer have legal standing. That is why the preservation of legal standing is the most fundamental and important part of your journey and your relationship with the law. Because if you don't have that, then you'll have a problem. You will definitely have a problem in terms of maintaining and continuing your lawsuit and getting justice um, for you and your family. You won't be able to get justice anymore because you will not be getting anything from them. You don't have the standing, and perhaps, who knows, the legal officer, I don't want to call names, representing the government, may tell you, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. We're offering you $5,000, and that is what you'll have to take. Or you're not getting anything from us. So you want to have a level playing field. You want to have your rights preserved. You want to make sure that you have your rights intact. You want to have the protection afforded by law. You want to be within the statute of limitations. You want to make sure that that you can do what is supposed to be done. And that is a situation where that um, that is so very much important for you to have that statement of claim filed. That is what you need to get done. Now, A lot of people are waddling in ignorance. I saw some Muhammad Khan asking me, "What have we done for the people in New York?" Well, let me summarize that because some people like to live under, a mushroom, or to live in some horse dung pit. So you have to emphasize to them. Well, let's start from the beginning, and I'll try to be very quick and precise. The first person to be elected here from the Indo-Caribbean people, Guyanese, Trinidad, and South Asians in the Caribbean since 2004 was me, Albert Baldeo, when I became a district leader. I broke the barrier. The first person to stop the schools from closing, Richmond High School and John Adams High School, they were going to be closed by Mayor Bloomberg. We fought against that and we preserved those schools from closing. The first person to fight against 111 being made a thoroughfare and be continued to be a major route, and they wanted to close the Liberty Avenue going to the Valley Expressway. We stood up for that and we got that. I was the one who got the elevated subway installed at Liberty Avenue. They had that plan, Lefferts and Liberty. They never gave it to us. I took them to court. Under the American for Disabilities Act, where you cannot discriminate against senior people, pregnant mothers, women, and the disabled. And hence I was able to get that. I've been in the forefront of fighting for redistricting, where we can get equal districts. So folks like you who never go to vote and never have a face and are always kicked out and feel happy with yourself being a second-class citizen, living an American crab dog, so to speak, we have been able to empower people like you, give you a life, give you dignity, make you count. So people don't just throw you and go and say you clean the toilets, give you a better life, give you better jobs. That have been in the forefront of giving you a face, giving you empowerment, making you whole, making you stand up, giving you dignity. And I need not go on because I don't like to talk about myself. Those who know, know. Now, that was an answer to somebody who's saying, what have you done for the people in New York? When I have been an acknowledged civil rights leader, hero, and elected person, the first of its kind, and I've paved the way for people like Richard David and Rhonda Binder and all the Japanese Singh and all these other people have come after me to continue the legacy. I would invite you to become to stand up and do something, sir, so that you can make yourself viable, livable, and somebody we can count on. But I don't know why I answered someone like you who happens to be just like a sort of like a stray on this live trying. Oh yes, Mohammed Khan, what you ever did for the Guyana Society. So Mohammed Khan, that was directed to you, sir. You can now go and have a bath and and wash your mouth. Brothers and sisters, coming back to real talk now on let's put aside the crab dogs and the futile and puerile people aside, the non-entities, people who will always never like their own and are always there to portray them as bad people. Let's forget about the Muhammad Khans of the world and let's leap to a different and higher land. My father always told me, look up, look forward, not at the people behind them. You leave the Muhammad Khans and those people way behind, and you leave them sinking in their own mess, their own feces, and you ascend and go to the higher land. That is what champions and gladiators do. That is what I'm proud to do all my life, and I will continue to do and leave others behind. Now, when that lawsuit is filed, then you have it is 3 years for the statute to bring that lawsuit. But I do clamor for and will continue to fight to make sure that there are others there, that there are situations where people are able to get compensation. And I'm not talking about $5,000 and so on. I'm talking for a lot of money that people need to get. I need about fair compensation. I'm talking about fair compensation. I'm not talking about push money. I'm talking about money whereby they can be able to be whole, get money for future life, money for education, money to put food on the table, money for clothes, all that years of service that their parents died and couldn't provide for them. The government of Guyana, our collective money, is not their finale money, is not Barack Jagdo money, is not Ali money, is not um, whosoever Burnham money, whoever you want to call it. It's the people of Guyana. It's collectively Guyanese funds, the consolidated fund. That's where the money comes from. The money that all Guyanese collectively own. That money must be given out to them. But if you don't have a notice of claim, which I'm urging all of you to have, then you will not be able to get something from legitimately to stand across the table toe to toe on equal basis and ask the Attorney General who will be the representative of Guyana or the President of Guyana, but I want to have just compensation. I'm entitled. I lost my parents, I lost my uncle, I lost my kids, I lost this, I lost that. All these people, there's a value to their life. And I don't want to reduce it in terms of monetary value only. There's much more to human life than just dollars and cents. But dollars and cents are a fundamental equalizer that have to be considered in cases of personal injury and damages. And that is done in courts all over the world. There is a quantification of what you have lost and what you are worth and what earnings have been taken from you. And that, my brothers and sisters, has to be taken into consideration and factored in terms of compensating people who have lost their parents. And you have to get that done. If you can't, then we will not be able to make people whole. You'll not be able to make people whole. This is the problem. And the issue here is that we have to make people whole. We have to make people uh, get the compensation that they didn't ask to die, they didn't ask to drown, they didn't ask for the family to be um, taken from the earth, taken from them. Imagine if your parents were dead and you were just a baby or you were a couple of years old. What would have happened to you? I've always thought of that. My father's a hire car driver. I always prayed for him to come home safely. I always thought if my father died on the road, what would happen to me as a kid? Would I go to Queen's College? Will I become a lawyer? Will I go to the best universities? Will I excel? Will I become a lawyer in two different countries? Will I ever be elected as the first Guyanese to be elected to public office? Will I be able to be the trailblazer that I become? Will I be able to become the trendsetter and transfers all these different fences and granite ceilings? Would I be able to somebody to say, "Oh, I can be like that guy"? Inspire them. These are thoughts that are worthy thoughts. These are thoughts that are human, and these are humane thoughts that are only natural, and hence they must be applied in trying to get full compensation from the Guyana government, and that is a legal right, a moral and a legal right. It's not a handout. It's not free stuff. It's because their lives were lost, or they were injured, or they suffered during an exercise or travel of a ship owned by the government of Guyana, the MV Barima. That is the law. That is the morality. That is where the rubber hits the road. That is something we can't avoid. They can paint it how they want and say it's political and this body win one, this a PV one, this a PNC one. No, it's a Guyanese issue. It's not a East Indian issue or an African American issue or a Portuguese issue or an Amerindian issue. It's not. It's a collective humanity, Guyana, one Guyana issue. And do not separate the issues according to race, religion, party, creed, or whosoever you like in Guyana. It's something that must come from within. That as Guyanese, whatever religion he is, whatever race he is, whatever ethnicity is, where he come from or what, he or she is entitled to that. And just as I would want to be entitled if I was affected by that. So the law is a great equalizer. The law does not take sides in universal issues like this. The law is there to be followed by everybody, and we all have to follow it. And that is why I'm telling you that we have to all follow the law in that singular respect. And that is why you have to file a notice of claim to make yourself whole, to put yourself on the equal playing field, to put you in a bargaining position with the government that I've complied with my legal rights and I'm now entitled to compensation. I'm open to discussion. How much will you be paying me? My parents' pain and suffering, my family, my children, the pain and suffering, the debt, the loss of earnings, the loss of what they had, the punitive damages, exemplary damages because of the way this vessel was done. These are all issues that a proper lawyer will consider. It may be exemplary because somebody bring all this weight on the boat and overwhelmed it. They're logical issues, legitimate issues. That the conduct of the crew and the captain and the minister and whosoever did this was outrageous. It was beyond normal behavior. It was based on greed. They were doing their own side business. That whosoever overloaded the ferry that was only entitled to carry X amount of passengers, but was carrying many times that amount or double or 150% or whatever, that conduct leads to compensation. The punitive damages, the exemplary amounts awarded by a proper judge who will see that these were over 100 lives needlessly thrown away, 100 prominent lives that were just thrown to the gutter. And hence, brothers and sisters, that is something that has to be addressed, something that must be taken in account for, and something that must, for all intents and purposes, for all intents and purposes, those are issues that must be flushed out. There's no getting away from that. And I also want to mention this: the government of Guyana must have insurance for its vessels. Parliament must make the law that government, whether it's Guyana and it's obtained in other countries, you don't get a pass. You don't get a pass like what happened in the Barima. We don't get insurance. When the minister said, "Oh, we don't have insurance," loud and clear, he shouldn't be proud of that, because now the government will be liable personally. If there was insurance, then you will get it from Lloyd's or London. The foreign insurance company will have to compensate you. They will have to compensate the people of Guyana without all this anguish and all this acrimony, because it's a law. So we must make the law in Guyana that whatever vessel or aircraft, whether or minibus or whatever, well, the minibuses and cars we have insurance for that in Guyana. But let's talk about the ships, the ferries, the pontoons, the trawlers, the aircrafts. They must be insured. If they're owned, even if they're owned by the government, not only private, everybody must get insurance. Everyone must have insurance. They must have that insurance, because if they don't have the insurance, then they will not be able to function properly. They will not be able to function because they don't have that insurance. And that would be the big problem right there, that there's no insurance. So, brothers and sisters, we call for insurance. It must be that there must be insurance, that everyone must have insurance, that they must be called upon to display their insurance, that they must be required to take out a policy. They must take out a policy of insurance. Roma Ramdan, can you tell me if you're hearing me on Facebook? Just send just send a little text there saying, you says Roma Ramdan. You says I can't hear you, but I tried to change that song. Or Paul Dindial, tell me if you guys are hearing me, because I would like you to hear me. And as we continue to show that we must have insurance, whether it's government, Roma, can you hear me now? I hope they can. Anyway, let's continue. Basically, the major feed I have right now is TikTok. The others are not as productive as TikTok. And I want you to share the live. Share the live. Share this view. Invite your friends to look. We're going to ratchet up another level now of law. I want you to share the live. I want you to get to join my broadcast. I want you to become a part of my group. I want you to continue to have these discussions so we can be of use and value to you. We want to continue to spread our knowledge on both sides of the jurisdiction. Not many people are qualified in law in Guyana and the United States have had that privilege of educating themselves on both sides of the Atlantic or the Caribbean Sea. Not many of us, because every country has its own law. And if you have somebody who's willing to assist you and to shed light on you, and all these emails and all these calls I've been getting, I got calls from Madia, from Abaruma, from the Amerindian villages. People are calling asking for answers, and I've been trying to provide them. I've just talked about the notice that is required. I've just talked about lifting the vessel. There is no excuse for that. That the prime minister, got to stop talking about, oh, we're going to left it out there. You don't know how many bodies are there. You don't know how many people are buried. You don't know who's in that boat. Your manifest is a joke. You need to bring proper mathematical, logistical, and humane closure to this issue. We have to find out just who are the people that were on that boat. We need a complete list. You have to find out who died. In 9/11 here, when those Twin Towers come out and thousands of people died, they were able to build those lists over time. make it accurate, inscribe their names, have a proper mourning and memorial place, give them their due rewards. They are heroes and sheroes. They are people who are deserving of our love and our gratitude. They are people who paid a great price, lost their lives. They are pioneers. They are poor people, but nevertheless, they are people. And they are our brothers and sisters. And whether you consider them to be Native Americans or Guyanese or whatever you call them, that is wrong. Because they are part and parcel of the fabric of Guyana. Some of them were there before the boats came from Africa, before the boats came from Madeira, Portugal, before the boats came from India. They had stock roots and had roots from the Arawaks and the Caribs, and they had made civilization in Guyana. But I don't want to make Guyana a place where you have somebody come before that they're entitled to more than the persons who are living there. Everyone is equal. You're brushed and painted in the same term of Guyanese. When they accuse you of being a Jonestown person, when they accused you in the Caribbean before we got oil, it was a broad swipe against all Guyanese. From the time they heard the term Guyanese, they had it in for you. They already had pigeonholed you as a lesser being, and I've personally experienced that. When I was in Trinidad to go to law school, I was told by the immigration officer, an African American, who was going to put me back on the next flight. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't trouble him. He just was prejudiced against me. He just didn't like me because I was young and I was going to law school. At the age of 19, I was into law school. Brothers and sisters, there's a lot of prejudice and hate in the world. He told me if you open your mouth, I'll send you back on the next flight. I had to bite my tongue, and I did. But within me, the rage of becoming a lawyer, the great equalizer, the person who fights civil rights and fight for the underprivileged because I'm one of them, I'm an underdog, it's always been embedded with me. And I've always fought. I've always enshrined and uh, embraced what it is to be a fighter for others because it's the most significant and noble thing you can ever do. And I brought that here fighting for others. I never got paid a cent for my political work. I never asked for or demanded a penny for when I stand up and fight. And the police are after me, and the politicians are after me, and the system are after me, and the fake charges are after me. And they're saying I'm using my own money for my campaign, and his man got money, and he's a Kuli man, and how he get money. All that crap I've had to fight in my lifetime. All of that. Singularly, wholeheartedly, and all alone. And I look you in the eye and tell you, yes, I've been down that road, and I'm proud to walk there as a brave warrior and come out victorious, still landing on my feet. That is something you must be proud of, because not many can walk the walk or talk the talk. And you take that from me and take it to the bank. Take it to the bank, whichever bank you live in, whichever country you live in. I have been down that road, and there's no one who's ever done that. And I'm proud to share with you, to tell you that as Guyanese, you must stick together. As Guyanese, you must lift each other up. You must make decisions, Mr. President. You've got to make the tough decisions. You've got to make decisions you can live with. Decisions that you can say, well, enough is enough. That we have had enough problems here. That we can't take no more. There's too much diversions. This is away from the people. This is about this minister. This is about that. This is not about the people who died. This is not about making them whole. This is not about helping them to become better citizens. This is not helping the country. This is taking away too much time from the work we have to do at hand. This is how we have to reshuffle our cabinet. This is how we have to fire people. This is how we have to send somebody home. There's other professions. You don't owe them a job. They had their chance to be the best minister in the world. They had to be. Nothing is saying they didn't have private businesses and you can't have private businesses. But if your private businesses overtook your personal duties, then that was a conflict that you had to solve. A conflict that made it a problem. A conflict that cannot continue. A conflict that must and cries out for changes in your administration. And unfortunately, the rubber has hit the road. The time has come. Um, and therefore, there's lots of money and power, as Reindeer 7 is saying here. I don't know why people don't come in their name. My name is Albert Baldeo. It's fully the back there. And some people, they always disguise the name as Apostle or Reindeer or whatever. Crab, louse, whatever. Don't be afraid of who you are. We have freedom of speech. And as long as you say the truth, then nobody can sue you, or perhaps they may come after you, but you have to have some backbone. You can't. Albert Ballard didn't born with all the backbone in the world. Their backbone was equally and equitably distributed in everybody who was born. So I always tell people grow some backbone. One guy ran against me, son, come and tell me that how he wished his father had backbone like me. So you got to develop whatever your conscience tells you. That should be your guide. That should be your guide. So share the link. Let's continue the conversation. Share the link and ask people to join so they can all be on the same wavelength here. We can continue to have our discussions. Like I said, that is the situation. We're lifting the boat. And now let's talk about people. I got some calls from Barima and Madia about how they can now preserve evidence so they can bring their lawsuit. As you know, when you bring a case, you being the person who lost your loved ones and who has to prove that case, you have to prove your case on a balance of probabilities, meaning that you have to convince the court or the jury or all of them that I'm entitled to compensation, I'm entitled to be made whole. Please share the live and share them and ask people to like the video, join my group across all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. But this is how you will prove that you were on the boat. The survivors who saw those who were on the boat that died and or disappeared or are missing, that eyewitness testimony must be secured. When I say secured, you have to get affidavits from them before they die or before they go missing or before they lose interest or become afraid. You have to get affidavits from them. If you can get a deposition, which is like them talking into a video, like what I'm talking into on the camera, and you preserve that with a date on it, hold the newspaper up to show the date when that video was taken, the publication of the Stabrook News or Kaichor, but I think Stabrook News is no longer there, but Kaichor or Guyana Graphic, Guyana Chronicle, to show the date and that I made this video on that date, or you give a written testimony, a testimonial or affidavit stating that they were seen there. Then you would have what is called receipts or travel tickets. Now I know somebody was running their site business also. And that is a problem. And so I'm going to try to bring in some hopes. Some other hosts here, hoping that they are going to come and and stick to the program here about what we're talking about. And what we're talking about is the Barima tragedy. I don't want anybody to hijack this conversation, take it in another direction. But that's another thing to get the receipts. Let me see if the system is going to allow them to come on. I don't know if it will, but I'm hoping that they're allowed to come on. And I've invited them to come on here. They must have the passenger manifest that is being done. I hope that will come to bear. Eyewitness testimony, like I talked about, calls, texts, and photographs. There must have people texting and saying, well, I'm on the boat. There's actually an audio that came up, a very interesting part, where someone is testifying, and that will be Exhibit C. Exhibit A is a Barima wreck. Exhibit B is the captain who talked about his history of problems there, that this boat was not shipworthy, that was a wreck waiting to happen. He is exhibit number 2 for you to bring in your case. And then in exhibit 3, it's that video or audio where somebody said, oh, the captain told him they can't bring no more load on this boat, and they're still bringing on the load. The captain said no more cargo, and they still got it coming in the air. And therefore, the problem is that we can't allow more cargo, but yet people continue to be reckless. People continue to be negligent. Some people continue to be barefaced and continue to overload the boat. And if ministers was doing this, or higher-ups, or the messengers, all those people got to come and testify. And then you build the case against X amount of people. Ultimately, though, it's with the government of Guyana, because they were acting vicariously. You call it vicarious liability. If these acts were done in the course of their employment in the Transport and Harbors Department, then they will be liable. So that is a principle under which you're suing, but you're naming the Attorney General, you're naming the government of Guyana, you're naming um, the MARAD, that department, and you're also naming the ministers who are in charge of that as the defendants in this matter. Not in their personal capacities. You're not going to get money from them personally. You're not going to be able to take away the house or whatever mansions they have. But at least you're preserving your rights under the law. And I would tell you this, whether it was a PNC minister, a WIN minister, or a PP minister, that's the law. We as lawyers are not scared of the law. That is how law operates. In America, wherever you go, perhaps if you have the experience that I have and the exposure, you would not be afraid to speak up like I am speaking up, to say, well, oh, what you said about the minister. Blah, blah. It's not about the minister per se. It's about the people who lost their life. It's about compensation. It's about whether you can live with your conscience, to see a child grow up in poverty, to see a child got to eat its own feces to survive. That's what this is about. Not whether somebody continues to live merely after taxpayers' dollars. So let your conscience be your guide. Those who are willing to criticize and those who opt to criticize someone for speaking out. So photographs and that audio is a great audio. If I, as a lawyer, was bringing this case, or lawyers, they should download that audio, identify the person, contemporaneously make it a part of the case, where this person is saying, "Hi, I'm on the Barima, and we're going to Port Kaituma today. Today date and so on. The weather is all right. The waves are calm, and it's big wave here. The weather's not so bad." You're excluding any kind of external excuse for them to bring up. And then he goes on to say, but the captain tell his people, do not bring no more load onto this boat. And then people is to bring on more load. And he got some big people here come here, and them tell them that they carry this and carry that. The captain tell them no. The captain himself facing a murder charge. That will be helpful in his defense. He'd be able to show that he didn't recklessly or negligently, forget about murder, it's more manslaughter, cause that to happen. That this come from instructions being given from abroad, from the acts of others, or that he may have been coerced into sailing the boat when it was not seaworthy, or when it didn't have, and other people put on the load and added on to the load. So that's a perfect defense for him and the other two. And it's also grounds to show that the government vicariously was liable for the damages and for what happened to these people. So let's continue on. So that is the evidence right there that you have to look at. Instead of those who like to talk and talk and talk, nonsense, and you're affected, start looking out for evidence. Recovered belongings that tie something to somebody. Don't claim your relative who probably might have gone to Australia to live and said, no, he died there and want money. Because those things are insurance fraud, it come back, or lawsuit fraud. You have to be able to prove your case. When 9/11 happened in America, a lot of people suddenly appeared and said they were there and they had illnesses, or they were there in their last family. Don't get involved with that. That could lead to another crime and another lockup of somebody there. Now, you have to get a Coast Guard report, the police report, and the search and rescue reports, in addition to the manifest that stated who were on that ferry, and prove that there's been no contact since the capsizing. Because if somebody survived, and in the very unlikely instance that they didn't report back, then you got to be able to cover for them to show that unfortunately they died, and that reasonable searches have failed. Reasonable searches have failed. So in the meantime, 3 weeks, 1 week haven't been passed. What do you folks do? Those who are looking for compensation, those who are entitled to compensation, those who have to continue their lives and continue their education, continue to have a life, this is what you have to do. You have to serve the statutory notice I talked about. The 30-day notice of claim, notice of intent to sue the government. Very simple one-page document. That has to be done. Obtain estate representatives or limited grants, meaning that you move to the court, the person has died, and you want to stand in their shoes to bring a lawsuit on their behalf, or on behalf of the estate of that person, or as a representative capacity. You call that estate representative, a limited grant, a guardian, or someone who has the authority to proceed on behalf of that deceased person. concerning the damages that was due to them, the loss of pay, the pain and suffering, the exemplary damages, the punitive damages, the negligence, and whatever they have lost. You also have to file a missing person declaration application. You go to the Registrar General, ask for a missing person declaration, or the police station. They might not know about it, but as police legal advisor, we used to have those in our file. And you fill that out. That Tom Jones or John Jones has been missing and suspected to be killed or boarded the MV Barima and is no longer alive or did not return home or is presumed dead or is thought to be dead or is feared to have drowned. Feared to have drowned with MV Barima tragedy. So you secure and preserve evidence at the same time as you go about doing these things. Perhaps you have to show that the person was working, they had a good job, they were working for X amount of dollars, you multiply it by the years plus the promotion they would have gotten, you'll be entitled with very good lawyering and very proper, skillful negotiation that this money is entitled to this deceased person. Not as a handout, but as a right legally entitled under the law. That is what you can establish. You're not begging anybody for anything here. This happened. It's sad. It's tragic, but it must be made whole. Also, there would be naval architects and marine engineers. Well, I would also ask you to keep this person as a chief witness. Like I said, the rec is exhibit number A. The captain's statement is exhibit number B. His Facebook post. Preserve that. Get a statement from him if you have to hire him as an expert witness. Andrew Daniel. Andrew Daniel. Exhibit number B. Exhibit number 2. Andrew Daniel, the captain of the MV Barima for what? 12 years. He served as captain of the Transport and Harbors Department for 12 years. And he commanded the MV Barima. So he knows about the situations there, the conditions under which, the danger, the mishaps. Like he said, it was a floating disaster waiting to occur. He is a very important person in all of this to prove this case. He must be subpoenaed on your case, or you have him on your list. You get a statement from him, you prepare him, and you have him as your expert witness or as a witness who is very, very important in this case. Those of us, or everyone who wants to see justice be done. Also, when that is done, you also would get these permission from the court to stand in place of those and in the interest of those who have died to bring that. And now you also must institute your lawsuit within the 3 years, the statute of limitations. I would bring it as early as possible, within 6 months to a year, so the government is then forced to negotiate with you. The government is forced to come to the table where you put in the government a notice that I intend to sue for the lost lives. It's a valid lawsuit. It's a legitimate claim. It's a claim which cannot be, shoved under the rug. It's not a claim that we can say, oh, they don't matter, lives don't matter. It is a claim that has to be given full accountability and full attention. And brothers and sisters, that is something that has to be done. So these are all things that that have to be complied with. And somebody's asking me, Tricia X, how can they charge those guys for murder, charge them for negligence, not murder? Well, Tricia X, negligence is not a criminal charge per se. But I hear what you're saying. Murder requires the intent. As we say in Latin, actus non facit reum nisi mens sit rea. That is Latin, meaning that the intent and the act must concur for there to be a criminal offense. You must have the mental intent. And murder is not a fly-by-night statute. Murder is one of the most serious offenses after treason in Guyana. And murder therefore requires malice aforethought, meaning that you must have the mental intent. That is why some people plead insanity. I am mad. I couldn't form the intent to do this act. That's a complete defense in law, insanity. Now, they're not saying they're in insanity there, and I don't agree with the murder charges for the captain. We have charged, I was a prosecutor in Guyana, I've done some of the worst cases. 3 times they tried to take my life. 3 times. They tried to kill me. I was just 25 years old. God saved me to come and give this forecast so many decades after. I still remember the worst cases in Guyana were sent to this young prosecutor. They're in the law reports. Alvin Mitchell, Donald Alder, Robinson, the gangs, the kick down the door bandits, the robbers, the choke and rob, the police who were taking bribes, the people who were assaulting people, the pirates, the masqueraders, the marauders, the murderers, the treasonous. I did those cases. Yes, I was just 25 years old, and I became a top state prosecutor. And they still tell me up today I was the best, and I'm proud to say that because I felt it in my heart as I prosecuted those cases that I was doing the right thing. And I got rid of criminals. Yes, I didn't have a scholarship. My father sent me to do law, but I gave my best years to the government of Guyana at that time. That was under the Burnham government. They treated me fairly. They promoted me. They gave me police legal advisor. I was lectured to the police. They gave me firearm. Yes, that didn't help me with the three attempts on my life, thank God. But I served my country in the highest capacity. Like a soldier would die today, Angela Rampersad, I can also say I served my country, Guyana, with the best 5 years of my youthful life just out of law school. Went up against the best lawyers. Do not sing Rex McKay, Bernardi Santos, Donald Robinson, Stanley Moore, Stanley Hardial, you name them. I went up against them and held my own. Lionel Lucku, all of them I prosecuted case against and won. Yes, and I'm proud to say that. And I was just 25 years old. That is part of the satisfaction I got professionally of having risen to those levels of competence and of ambition. Yes, I am an ambitious person. I went to Queen's College. I won't say no to that. I am a proud, ambitious person. I was the first elected person over here coming from Guyana, at Middle Guyana, a part of America. So I've taken my ambition with me very seriously, and I have no regrets. Sure, I've been kicked. Sure, I've been put down. Sure, I was targeted. Sure, I got bogus charges against me. Sure, I overcome them. Sure, I jumped back on my feet. Sure, I lived up to what it means to the greatest of a person lies not in when he's kicked down and out, but how he can stand up and fight and resurrect himself. Sure, I went through that. Of course, I'm living testimony of that. And of course, I'm proud of it. That I rose against adversity, that I broke glass ceilings. You can't take that from me. That is part of history. Good and bad, fair and square. I'm feared as a fighter. I'm revered as a fighter. And sometimes I'm hated. Yes. All that comes with the terrain. The issue is that you got to live and look yourself in the face. If you look at yourself in the face every morning and you're happy with what you see, you don't have to bother anybody else. Let me repeat that. If when you look yourself in the face, as I'm looking right now into this camera, and you are proud of who you see, you don't have to bother with anybody else. That's my story. I can give a rat's whatever about anybody else. As long as within your heart and soul you're happy with who you see and you're satisfied that you did your best and that you helped others low who are in a worse position than yourself, you must be proud of who you are. And I am that person. But coming back to what I was saying, when I did those cases, I gave my best years, and I wasn't on a government scholarship. My father, Harry Baldeo from Bryceless, as a hire car driver, sent me to law school. He spent his last dollar on my education, and I gave my best 5 years to the government as a lowly paid prosecutor. I gave them that. I was paid, yes. I was paid chicken feet to other lawyers because you're a government lawyer. Like police officers and teachers and nurses, you don't get the full pay. I couldn't care about money, less about money. I cared about justice. I cared about justice. And I went for justice. I served justice. I went after criminals. I put them away. I cleaned up society. I cleaned up the kick down door bandits. When I left Guyana, I went into private practice when I left that job. And I began to earn money much more than I could ever dream of. Because the skills and the sacrifice, they don't just go away from you. Many lawyers told me that as long as you practice law and fight for people the way you fight for the state, there ain't got nobody gonna beat you. There ain't got nobody gonna stand up with you. And so said, so done. I gave it my best, and people threw money at me, and all the way out. And thank God, that's another life story. God has always been good to me, and I've always been good to myself in terms of pushing myself to the limits. Pushing yourself for justice, not looking for money. I don't get paid to do this. I don't get paid as a district leader. I'm not looking for money. My district leadership didn't come with money. I don't get paid for it. I do it free, of course. But do we think money can buy power? Money can buy power. As a community leader, what I can do for my community, I cannot do as a lawyer. When I fight for Guyana against Venezuela's incursions, and I go to the Congresspeople in the Black Caucus or the Secretary of State and call up Mr. Pompeo or Mr. Marco Rubio or President Trump or President Biden, whoever may be at that stage, you may not get to speak to them personally, but you got to speak to their staff, and then it filters up. That's how politics in America work. Sometimes you may get a Secretary of State, and you may bump into him at some function, and you're happy to at least try to get your message in that Guyana is under attack. I have done that for Guyana over the past 10 years. I have done that. And whenever the president speaks to a congressman, they tell me, I spoke to your president, President Ali, yesterday, and so on. They tell us. And I'm happy to say yes. I'm happy that you listen to our president about Venezuela, because Venezuela doesn't need to do that. We spoke to Bara Jagdeo about Guyana's situation. We're happy to hear that. We spoke to David Grange about it yesterday about that. I'm not talking about yesterday, God. I'm talking when they were presidents. You've got to get people here who are American citizens and constituents of the American government to represent your country. That is how you get a direct link, and that is how I understood international law, and how I understand diplomacy, and how I understand how to fight, and how I understand that putting money in my pocket as the lawyer, how much you going to take up there? How much you going to take when you already got enough? So help your brother and sister. That is what drives me, and that is what guides me. And I'm not scared or feel hypocritical telling you that. I proudly tell you that. Yes, that's what I do. I don't need to be here at 11:30 at night, 11:44 near midnight talking to you folks. I don't owe anybody anything. Nobody sent me to study law. Nobody helped me pass the bar exam, the most difficult exam in America. My parents I owe. That's all. I don't owe anybody else. Clients, I've done their cases. Have I won all the cases? No. Have I won 99%? Yes. There's 1% who came in with fake documents, backtrack work, legally kill people, commit crimes, and want a lawyer to don't tell you the facts of their case, and sometimes their own cases when they come and take free money over here and commit crimes and make paperwork and make fraud case. You're the lawyer. You're not going to win those cases. But none of them was ever deported. But 99.5% got through. Will they ever say thanks? God in heaven knows. A lot of Guyanese are the chief architects of ingratitude. They are known to wash their mouth on people that help them. Don't tell me that. I know. I've seen them. I've seen them in the restaurants and the rum shops. Talking how Baldeo help them and Baldeo do this to them and Baldeo that and Baldeo that. And then Baldeo bad. It is part of our DNA. We got a sick set of people called crabs in Guyana. You have the crab mentality, you grow out of it. You have the colonial mentality, grow out of it. You have a tendency to hate each other. You have a tendency to bring each other down. You have a tendency to criticize. You have a tendency to wash your mouth on people you can't even shine the shoes. You got a tendency to badmouth people you own, but you dare not say anything about somebody else. You have a tendency to suck up like a house slave, to suck up to the master, the white master. You have a tendency to give away a country to the white corporate Exxons and the transnational companies. Don't give that to me. I've seen it. I've seen how you would prefer to take a fried rice and sell the country out for 2% or pay for your wedding. You would sell your soul and sell the people of Guyana down the river for your little scrappy wedding. You're disgraceful. unions. My brothers and sisters, that's a shame and a disgrace. But don't come to tell me that. I've been sent for a purpose in this world, and I stand proudly on that. And I fear no one, and I fight everyone who is wrong. You could be high or low. You could be who. I'm there for the fight. I'm there for the underdog. First thing that comes up is that our values did this and value did that, but value stands up for the underdog. Put it in context. Don't be thinking, most of the great men have always been attacked, put down. Mahatma Gandhi. And I'm not saying I'm these people. I'm just telling you this is a life history. And I may be a minute person of them. Like, at least this is what has happened in my life. You got Gandhi. You have Martin Luther King. You have Cherry Jagan. You have Benazir Bhutto. They were either assassinated, sent to jail, or wiped out. That is the curse, or that is the road that greatness calls you to do. And that is the price you pay. People don't talk about the lawyers who would drive Mercedes Benz and give a rat's tail about whosoever live or die, as long as they make the money. How many of them you see would come and give you free advice or free and talk about these issues and talk controversial issues and talk to a president or talk to an opposition leader or talk to a thug or talk to a politician without fear like I can? How many? Call the name. Call the name. Give me a name. Give me a name of a lawyer who does that or who has done that. I'm waiting. Who, you? Who? Your brother, your mother, your father? Give me a name. Who has stood up and fought without being paid? Who has fought the battles and forget and forgive or regardless of money? Who has put their neck on the block for you without being paid? Talk is cheap, my friends. Talk is cheap. Honor those who fight for you, because such is very rare. The Gandhis, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Cherry Jagans, the Basjo Pandays, the Hubert Nathaniel Pritchalos, the Usuquayanas, those are the champions. The Moses Bhagwan recently wrote a book. He may not be in the same category, and I may not be in the same category of them, but you must have that respect. That is owed because of the fights that they have brought on your behalf. Many of you who can only put your tail behind your legs and run. Many of you don't have the kahunas to stand up to anybody. Many of you will not even stand up and fight. Many of you want others to go and vote for you. Yes, vote for you. That's the worst you could tell. You know why? Because you want money, you want duck curry, you want somebody to pay you for going and vote. Shame on you. People like that must hang their head in shame that somebody got to force you to vote or beg you to vote or quarrel with you to vote or tell you about your civic rights and responsibilities. And when the shit hits the fan and you are on your neck is on the block, then you say, oh, help me, God. Help me, Baldeo. Help me. What me say about you may regret. My brothers and sisters, that's kind of ingratitude and crap, dog and foolery. You have to stop it. God has given Guyana a chance to greatness. Change comes and reform from within you. What I see happening, you're not changing fast enough. You're running for the scraps. You're running for badmouth each other. You're running to pull each other down. You're seeing a smaller picture. You're running away, but you're giving away your country to Exxon and these places and to expatriates and foreigners. And the real Guyanese man who suffered all those years as indentured servants and slaves, they are not reaping the benefit. They are being cut out. Like you don't want to be the superstar. Like you don't want to achieve star. You want to be the star boy. You want to continue to be the bridesmaid. You want to be bridesmaid. You don't want to be the bride. You don't want to be the bridegroom. Well, you must access power. Guyana belongs to Guyanese. It don't belong to Americans or English or Canadian or French or Australian or whosoever I see. Why hasn't Exxon brought up that ship up to now? Why hasn't Exxon, from its own conscience, brought up that ship from the bottom of the ocean? Why hasn't it volunteered? Maybe we got to ask you. We got to tell you. We got to threaten you. We had a president for Osborne would have telling me I'm going to naturalize you. I am going to what's the term? Nationalize you. Like how we did with Nam and all those places. I'm not saying it was right. I'm not a fan of Forbes Burnham, but I'm telling you there's a sovereignty theory and a territorial integrity that Guyana is a sovereign territorial country that belongs to Guyanese and does not the exclusion of all others, white, green, and who's Americans, English, Canadians, Australians. You come second in Guyana, and understand that. And if you don't understand that, I will make you understand. Guyana is not a place we could go like Nigeria and run roughshod people and take away what we got, rape us. That's not how its democracy works. Who can come in your country and do that? And don't tell me you don't do that to others. I've been in your country. I've seen it. I've seen the advantage. I've been a victim of your double standards and injustice. So come and talk to me. You're talking to the wrong man. I've seen it and experienced it firsthand, so I know. So if you're going to come to Guyana, I got to beg you to bring up that, and I got to kiss your tuchus for you to bring up that ship. That is not how we're going to play this game. That is not how you're going to take 98% of my profits, and you can't even bring a shipload at this an abandoned wreck from the ocean floor for me to bring closure, for me to verify the passengers, for me to conduct how many people died, for me to compensate these people. I got to beg you. I have to ask you. Nothing on that. No word. Not even for your higher functionaries here of helping us. All you're saying is you're concerned about American companies and their welfare in my country. Sure you are, because you're getting 98%. But you're a guest. You don't own Guyana. You don't have any legitimate reasons to be here apart from your contractual licenses and permits. And we honored them. We give you 98%. What more do you want? You want to make us the 51st state? You want to make us a colony? You want to recolonize us? Are you out of your mind? It doesn't work that way, people. The same thing you want for yourself in America, UK, Canada, Australia, the same thing we want for ourselves in Guyana. And that is what the United Nations is about. That is what international law prescribes. That is what international law governs. And that is mandated by international law that whether you be so high or so big or so mighty, we are independent, equal countries of equal standing and equal sovereignty. So I hope those who are guests of the Guyanese government and guests in our country and high-level diplomatic functionaries understand what time it is. You are our guests. You don't own a part of Guyana. You don't determine process. You don't determine policy. You can certainly advise. I will listen to your advice, but draw the line. Draw your line and don't cross that line, because I am a sovereign country. I'm a country protected by international laws and boundaries. And I'm independent. I've gotten independence, and I have territorial integrity and sovereignty. And you put that in your pipe and smoke it. And don't let's go down that road and have me remove you from the State Department. And if you think that you're a petty god over there or you can make policy for my country, forget about it. Forget about it. Park it somewhere. Park it before you enter Guyana. Because Guyana is for Guyanese. Guyana is a sovereign country. It's not a possession or a territory of any other country. I don't care how you carry yourself or what pronouncement you make or what you advertise with. Know your place. Understand what it is. People are looking. And people have the ability to move personnel who don't understand their limits in Guyana. Because America, in the fullness of its democracy, will not tolerate your intrusion or your getting involved in other people's business. And hence, I will tell you what Guyanese tell each other. Mind your own business. Mind your own business. Keep out of Guyana's affairs. Decisions have to be made by Guyanese and by the people who elected them. Of course, we will listen to you. Of course, we will have functions with you. Yes, we will tolerate you and we will treat you with the dignity that you afford us collaterally when we send our ambassadors to your soil also and our representatives. Sure, we appreciate your help, but don't you dare put us behind you. Don't you consider us slaves. Don't you consider us to be um, protectorates or dependents or colonies. Colonies, that's the term. So, in the fullness of all of this, Guyana has got to be able to project, and this is where I think Guyanese politicians have failed. They're always sucking up to somebody. The commission of inquiry got 5 people, none of which is Guyanese. You didn't even consult with the opposition leader. You didn't even consult with the other Guyanese people. If it was just a phone call under the guise of a representation or a discussion. You know how Burnham and Jagan used to do it? When the law said that Burnham had to consult with Jagan on certain appointments, you know how Burnham used to do it? Where the people say Burnham is a dictator and all that. Burnham was a lawyer like me, he always did it. He would call up Cherry and say, I just want to, comrade, that are considering X, Y, and Z to be these judges or whatever. I am just telling you, I'm considering it. I'm consulting with you. Thank you, sir. Let's go and have a drink of coconut water and some cognac at the farm or the wherever that Melanie Dabashana. Oh, we got some Joey. How you doing? All right? Good, good. All right, Cherry, I consult with you. You're here and talk to you later. You can't say Boron didn't consult. So why in heaven's name there's no record of a consultation? Even if it, and I'm not saying that should be the level. I'm mocking that sort of exchange. I'm mocking it. I'm showing you how the small credence is just a token. It's like Gary Sobers, take a tuk-tuk. He used to tell them wise, tell Clive Lloyd, take a tuk-tuk. It's a little tuk-tuk. Take a little tuk-tuk. He call up Cherry and tell he consult, but nobody can say, well, Burnham didn't consult. You couldn't accuse Burnham of not complying with the Constitution. So I'm saying by the same token, although I would respectfully ask for more, that you convene Guyanese on the commission, that you convene people who know about this MV Barima. For example, in that commission, you should probably have this guy on the commission, this captain who was there 12 years, this Andrew Donald. Andrew Donald, you should have consulted and put it for the commission. Put a broad-based commission. If you got to put 15 people, put Andrew Donald down there. Put some other people who used to work on that ship. Put some people from the opposition party. Put somebody from WIN. Put people from WIN. Put people from the PNC. Put people from APNU. Put them all together. Let it look good. Let them talk and decide. Because it's only the country can benefit. What are they going to come up with to overthrow you? Then they're going to make a decision beyond the terms of reference. The terms of reference, we already know the place was overloaded. They had a life jacket. You're not a proper engine. You're not a proper responder. You're not an anchor. What are you going to come up with? It's the same thing they'll come up with, but you're going to wait until that is done to implement reforms. You need to reform implements now. This is a first step. I don't want us to be the only one, President Ali. You said establish safety and compliance audit, and I compliment you on that. But you now got to put rigid reforms. Air, water, and sea right away. Don't wait on commission. Don't wait on 5 people to come here and tell us when they're going to do when you don't know when their commission will come about. We can't depend on them. Them is who? They don't know Guyana. Them never been a Parika. They ever been like me to Port Kaituma. They ever go in speedboat and see how dangerous it is to hold court in Bartica. They ever fly in a small Pampuri plane that shake out in the sky and nearly killed me one time. They ever fly an aircraft that went down with the most experienced Captain George Gronsalt? Do you know if these people ever had a boat? Do you know if they ever know anything about swimming? Do you know if they know anything about how a boat is worked? Do you know if they ever wore a life jacket and went on a boat? What kind of experts are come to tell us in Guyana what we need, what we already know? That we got to pull off all these vehicles that are not seaworthy and put new ones. Now you got to finish our war by next month. Finish the war for the militia and bring militia 2 and 3 and replace all these ships. You got to bring militia 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and take all these unseaworthy vessels off the damn sea. or more lives are going to be lost. People will die. And if you think you're going to be elected with that kind of record and you're going to blame somebody for defeating you, my brother Ali, you got a long time coming. Think carefully. You can't have any more mistakes like this. You can't even have more mishaps. You can't make this into a spectacle. You can't make this into a joke story. You can't make this into a Nancy Clongish story. You are taken to the limit right now. You have to overcome the issues that are confronting your presidency and your leadership. You got to take on the mantle of leadership. You got to fire some of these people. You got to send a message, I ain't going to take this anymore. You got to send a message that, listen, people watching me too, what me got. And how me get them and so on, to me got to come for that. And how me got to tolerate ideas, and me can't, I am being criticized also for having slack people like you in my ministries. People who can't talk to people and quarreling with them and cursing them out. And people picking in the home, left, right, and center and don't know how to respond. Man who pretend them are save people's soul and we crash from the neck and them are the biggest crash they got. They are those who speak to other people like they're dogs. People who think they're so much above Guyanese. Wherever they come from, I don't know. Where they used to live before or whatever it is. Whether they're what kind of, celebrity. Like Rabbi Washington came to Guyana and he was what? Rabbi. Old thief men come to Guyana and old criminals, and I'm not calling names, and come and said, oh, I was a this and James Jones. James Jones came to Guyana and said I was a this in America and he was a criminal. Rabbi Washington, he said he come from America and he was a this and a that. And he turned out to be a thug and a villain. Just you're going to have other people come and said I was a bishop or I was an archbishop or I was a pope of so-and-so. And me come a Guyana now to spread the red carpet before me. It doesn't work that way. I want to see what you did. I want to visit what you've done. I want to go where you've been. How they build this village and when? Nigeria? Okay, let me go Nigeria. I can't have you as a minister and I don't know who you are. You don't have no track record. You are not like Albert Bali, got a name in law reports and prosecute the worst criminals. You got a record. You got it there in the law reports. I'm just citing my name to show where my record is. But you just can't jump into Guyana and come in there and then you said, okay, everybody bow down before me. I'm the Lord and Master of all. And then when you talk to people, you treat them like dog. The Guyanese people you talk to like they're animals. And you try to pull yourself out. The first thing you need to get is get insurance for all the state vehicles. Guyana has money, use the money, get on the writers, on the right state. Because if this boat had insurance, you want to be in the next quagmire and nobody wouldn't be coming and say, oh, left the boat, let me cover up this, let me hide this bike, let me do this, let me run nearby. The insurance company would have paid. The insurance company would have covered the risk and it would have paid and covered it. That is what you have to do. You can't be playing this game of hide and seek and casting blame to other people when you have insurance that covers the salvaging of such vessel, the operation, the operational loss, the fire, drowning, the destruction of these vehicles are all covered by insurance. Whether it's from America, whether it's from London, Lloyd's of London, maritime insurance, how you think other boats sail? Other boats around the world are covered by insurance, even in the Caribbean. Why we in Guyana so backward or pretend to be stupid that we can't get insurance? Why we can't use the money we get it from the oil, albeit we get it, we should get more. Everybody's saying a fight for that, nobody fight for it, and take that for granted. Why can't we use at least some of the money that goes into the treasury, consolidated fund or what kind of fund you call it, to pay for insurance, to cover the risks of life and what is lost at sea? We must get those must be covered. Those must come in. Every vessel must be underwritten on or before next month. Every maritime vessel that's owned by the government that carries passengers, all the ferries must be underwritten by insurance by the end of next month. That is our challenge and our call to you, ministers and the cabinet. You have to procure insurance. I see a lot of you guys come over here a lot. You're coming to the land of business, the Wall Street. You need to come with intelligence. You have embassies over here. You have representatives. You have people you could call upon. Get a quote from me to insure the MV, whatever you name. Malaysia, for example. Does Malaysia has insurance? You mean you haven't procured insurance yet for Malaysia? You got to build a dock in there, and get insurance for MV Malaysia. Not because you think it's brand new and it can't sink. No, you can't put it in the water just by itself. You have to have insurance. You have to have enough life jackets. You have to get weights. You have to know the maximum capacity. You have to have people that are liable criminally if they overload that Malisa. If anybody wants to carry their personal roller in there and their belongings and a generator and heavy equipment, no. Whether you're a minister or who the hell you be, you can't do that. That is not allowed. A captain on the criminal and civil sanctions must be the person liable. And then another person over here and another person over here going right up to the minister must sign off. They must sign off responsibility. So it's not like what happened here now, as this captain told us who was here 12 years. He was made a scapegoat. The days of scapegoat are over. The days of accountability are now legion. You must have certification. You must have responsibility. You must have allocation and accountability. This is not something that can be covered under the rug, as I've told you. You need to have it flushed out and it must be carried out. I will continue this dialogue. I'm sorry if others did not get to join me. We did not have a good connection tonight. Also, I do not think that we did justice to the Facebook. I tried to do it on YouTube, but we will get better as we get to this. I am thankful for your audience. I hope that I've shed some light. I hope that I've spoken on your behalf. I hope that you have understood that I don't get paid for this. I hope that you understand that I'm not trying to create rife and strife in Guyana. I hope that you understand that I hold no brief for any political party or politician in Guyana. That I consider everyone fellow Guyanese and a friend, whether it be President Irfanali, Bharat Jagdeo, Anil Nandalal, Win people, Mohammed, the ACNU folks. As a matter of fact, the leader of the opposition went to bishops with me. It was a few years under me. I have to come and enjoy some chicken at this place. But that's not a compromise. That is just people who have had the distinction of going to Bishop's High School, exchanging and passing on old memories. But I'm telling you now that I speak solely as an American Guyanese concerned about the welfare of Guyana. I grew up in Guyana, it was very poor. I grew up in Guyana, it was always ridiculed. I grew up and I traveled and left Guyana and was ridiculed, humiliated, and criticized, disrespected in the world because of who I was, because I was Guyanese. I had to buy those things. I had to overcome those disadvantages. They still exist today, the barriers. The barriers that put you down. See that man in the back there, Barack Obama? Over there? Barack. That's the one there, Barack Obama. He broke the glass ceilings. He was black. He was a minority. He's a historical figure. Martin Luther King. He started the civil rights movement. He made history. Nelson Mandela is the next person over there. See that man there, that handsome man? At the end, that's Nelson Mandela. See the man just behind me? It's Cherry Jagan and Mahatma Gandhi. Cherry Jagan and Mahatma Gandhi are the two flags where I owe my allegiance to. Guyana and America. Brothers and sisters, it's from the bottom of my heart. None of you are not more Guyanese than me. None of you care about Guyana or patriotic more than me. And take it as good advice. Take it as someone who's concerned to see my country develop and become a great country, achieve and embrace the greatness it deserves, the greatness that excluded us, eluded us from so long, the greatness that is part and parcel of being a Guyanese, and which was held back from us since we were colonies. And in closing, I want to pay a special tribute to a sportsman hero, an idol that we grew up loving, Sir Garfield Sobers. I want to pay a special tribute to Garfield Sobers, who died and was buried just recently. I think it was yesterday, but whose life came to an end, but whose greatness will live on, whose records will continue to astound the world and be the yardstick on which other cricketers are measured. The man at the pinnacle of the cricket top, the man who could do anything on a cricket field, the man who liberated us and made us proud to say we are from the Caribbean. The one and only Sir Garfield St. Auburn Sobers, a childhood hero who inspired us to greatness, who inspired us to be the best we can be in whatever we do. We do it with such flair and panache that people will only sit in awe of the gifts that God gave us, which we dared to perfect beyond perfection. And to Sir Garfield Sobers, I say good night, sir, and thank you very much for a wonderful life and a great example you've set. And with that now, we will close and we'll come back to you another day with some more news and some more comments. But for now, file the notice or intent to claim on the Guyana Government, the Attorney General, the Transport and Harbors Department, MARAD, and the Ministries of Works and Transport to ensure that those who have suffered losses, that their rights and their entitlements are preserved, or you can lose them. And the days of the calabash, where you go around begging, is not something that you must relegate yourself to in the face of such grievous and touching losses. We must do better than this. And with that, I salute you and ask you to stay well, and may God bless you all. Good night, and may you strive, and may our country strive from strength to strength. May we lift up Guyana, and may we be better citizens in all that we aspire to do. God bless you, and good night.